If you have a geometry problem with intersecting lines or angles, you're either going to be adding angles together or setting two angles equal to each other. You should know that anytime two angles create a straight line, those two angles combine to be 180 degrees. So if this blue angle here was a 40-degree angle, the red angle on the other side would have to be 140 degrees. When two lines intersect in the shape of an X, they will form what's known as adjacent and vertical angles. Vertical angles are angles that are on opposite sides of each other, and they are always equal. So in this case, if the angle on the left is 30 degrees, the angle on the right is also 30 degrees. Adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other, and they always form a straight line. So they follow our previous rule, and the two adjacent angles will always add up to 180 degrees. So if the angle on the left is 30 degrees, the angle next to it will have to be 150 degrees. And the angle across from that, which is an adjacent angle to the other 30-degree angle, but also a vertical angle to my top 150, that angle will also be 150 degrees. When I add all of my angles together, they form a circle. So my total angles equal 360 degrees. When two parallel lines are intersected by a third line called a transversal, there are only going to be two different angle measures created. For simplicity, we can label these angles as skinny and fat. If we look at this picture here, we can see visually all of the fat angles look to be about the same. And all of the skinny angles also look to be about the same measure. And that's true. You could write the equation that any fat angle is going to be equal to a fat angle. And any skinny angle is going to be equal to a skinny angle. And any fat angle plus any skinny angle, they will equal 180 degrees. If you have difficulty visualizing which angles are the skinny and fat angles, you can redraw the picture in a much more exaggerated way. So I could draw my original picture like this. Now it's easy for me to see that my 84-degree angle is going to go in the bottom left position on my top intersection. That makes it a skinny angle. That means every other skinny angle is also 84 degrees. And every other fat angle would have to equal 96 degrees. Here's a problem that uses that exact same principle, but now we're dealing with the variable unknown x. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to redraw my picture, making my angles a little bit more exaggerated so I can tell which angles are skinny and which angles are fat. Once I redraw my angles, I can see that my 20x plus 5 angle, that's actually a skinny angle. And my 24x minus 1 angle, that's actually a fat angle. I know that any skinny angle plus any fat angle is going to equal 180 degrees. So I can write the equation that 20x plus 5 plus 24x minus 1, those will combine to equal 180 degrees. If I combine like terms, I get 44x plus 4 is equal to 180. Subtract 4 from both sides, and I'm left with 44x is equal to 176. Divide everything by 3, and I'm left with x is equal to 4. There's also something known as the angle addition postulate, which sounds complicated but really means the small angles add up to equal the big angle. The hardest part here is keeping track of which angle we're actually talking about. And to do that, I'm just going to trace the letters they give us in order. So they tell us that HGF is equal to 16x plus 4. So I start at H, I go to G, and then I go to F. So that is the big angle in the drawing. Angle EGF, I'm going to discover the exact same way. Start at E, go to G, and then to F. So it's the smaller angle on the left. They tell me that is equal to 110 degrees. And by the same way, I discover that HGE, that is the small angle on the right, that's equal to 3x plus 11. So the angle addition postulate says that I can add my two smaller angles and they will be the same measure as the bigger angle, or 110 plus 3x plus 11 is going to be equal to 16x plus 4. I combine my like terms and I get 121 plus 3x is equal to 16x plus 4. Subtract 3x and 4 from both sides, and I get 117 is equal to 13x. And then I just divide both sides by 13, and I'm left with x is equal to